Free the Cuban5!
Free the Cuban5!
Free the Cuban5!
Free the Cuban5! Visas for the wives! Free the Cuban5! Visas for the wives! Check out this story. Free the Cuban5!
Check it out.
Visas for the wives! Visas for their wives!
Check out the story.
Free the Cuban5!
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 Where you get that hat, man?
You want it, you can have it.
Free the Cuban5! Visas for the wives! 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 Free the Cuban5! Visas for the wives!
I think I've been neglecting you all these years, you know?
That's right. Hey, you never got me. Or you, not my camera. What about me? The hell with the camera, you. Take a picture of you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, that's my hairstyle. Thank you.
Jail Posada, free the five. Justice delayed, justice denied. Jail Posada, free the five. Justice delayed, justice denied.
Jail Posada, free the five. Free the Cuban5. Free the Cuban5.
How many times you been to Cuba?
I've been over there a few times. It's a great place. Everyone should go.
You think Cuba's more democratic than the U.S.?
I mean, for us, it's definitely more democratic. I mean, it's a worker state. Things are run for the people of Cuba, for the workers, for the peasants. It's a historically oppressed country that had a revolution 51 years ago that's giving Cuban workers, even though it's a historically exploited country, more rights than we have here in the U.S. Housing's a right, medicine, healthcare, PhD programs. I'm $100,000 in debt just for my undergraduate and graduate degree. There's no such thing as debt in Cuba. Education's a right for all workers. Over here, you can only afford to study if you're rich. So Cuba, despite being this small country, exploited for 450 years, is overthrown all that exploitation. We're not trying to say things are perfect in Cuba. It's been super isolated by U.S. imperialism. It's basically alone and isolated in the world, but it needs our support more than ever.
Would you say it's a blockade or an embargo?
I think blockade, you know, it's a matter of semantics, but blockade kind of captures the totality of it. Embargo kind of just implies there's like a partial thing, but you know, it affects everyday life in Cuba. You know, the easiest market would be the United States. And with the Torricelli law too, any other country that trades with Cuba can be punished. The ships can't land in U.S. ports. So I think the U.S. people, they don't have a real sense of how deep-seated the blockade is, how all-encompassing, watertight it is. That's part of the work we do to educate people about it.
What's the name of that, the shipping law by the Torricelli? That's still on the books?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was a lot of expectations that Obama would alleviate some of these laws and stuff, but the U.S. government's as aggressive as ever at Cuba. They continue to fund, you know, these small movements in Cuba, trying to create, you know, internal conflicts within Cuba. If it was up to the Cuban government, they wouldn't spend $1 on the military or on police, but it's sheer necessity. It's a matter of survival that they're forced to spend that money on security.
They're kind of in a state of war.
The Cuban people haven't had a day of peace since 1959. Since the Cuban people stood up and dared to say Cuba for the Cubans, Cuban resources to benefit the Cuban people, they've been severely punished by U.S. and the other major, you know, neo-colonial powers, Great Britain, France, and Germany. So there's been no peace for the Cuban people. They live under continual state of siege. I mean, if you look at the day-to-day life in Cuba, materially, you know, people do struggle. They have to collectivize and share everything, whether it's soap or an evening meal, and they do that. And it's incredible to see a nation of 11 million people united in that effort. But people over here, they just hear all the propaganda from Univision, from Telemundo, ABC, Fox News, and they don't get the truth about Cuba. So we really encourage people to go see with their own eyes and to study the true history of Cuba. If you look at the history of Africa, the modern history of the African liberation movements, you know, Cuban soldiers went there and fought. While the U.S. was sending arms and training against the African liberation movements, Cuba fought for Africa's independence in Angola, in Mozambique, in Guinea-Bissau. So it's incredible history to be studied.
You guys.
Free the Cuban5! Free the Cuban5! Free the Cuban5! Free the Cuban5 now! 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 Free the Cuban5! Jesus for the world! Free the Cuban 5!
Now!
Visas for the wives!
Now!
Free the Cuban 5! Visas for the wives! Free the Cuban 5!
Now!
Visas for the wives!
Now!
Free the Cuban 5! Visas for the wives!
Now!
Free the Cuban 5!
Now!
Visas for the wives!
Now!
Free the Cuban 5!
Now!
For the wives!
Now! Now!
Visas for the wives!
Now! Now!
Visas for the wives!
Now!
Libertad para los cinco. Libertad para los cinco. Libertad. How you doing? One more time. One more time.
This guy was makes me feel bad.
Huh?
This guy always makes me feel bad.
He's also 25 years younger than you are.
Yeah, but still. I remember asking you like that.
I remember too.
Cuban boys! Hey everybody. It looks like it might rain in a little bit, so I think we should take this opportunity to say a few words. This event today marks the 12th anniversary of the arrest of the Cuban5. And we are here on behalf of the Answer Coalition, the July 26th Coalition and Casa de las Americas, marking that day as a day of the greatest injustice that was done to 5 human beings that were here trying to fight terrorism, as a matter of fact. 5 human beings that were putting themselves on the line, putting their lives on the line and that of their families to try to bring an end to the worst kind of terrorism that comes out of certain parts of this country against the island of Cuba. And they are paying with their lives right now. Instead of jailing Posada Carriles, who's walking around free in Miami as we speak, who actually blew up a plane with over 70 people, human beings, responsible, along with his cohorts, of over 3,000 deaths. Those people are allowed to remain free on the streets. And the Cuban5 that were here to try to prevent that are languishing in prison today. We are here to demand their release, their immediate release. We're here to stand up for them and for what they represent. There are events of this type taking place across the country, in many cities around the country today. We'll hear more about those later. But everybody is finding out more and more and more about the Cuban5. The more work that we do, the more we step out there, the more people will hear about the plight of these 5 patriots and human beings that are standing up for the rights not only of their Cuban brethren, but all of us, as a matter of fact. So, with that, I want to ask Nancy from Casa de las Americas to say a few words.
Hi everyone, my name is Nancy Cabrero. I'm the president of Casa de las Americas, the oldest Cuban organization in New York. On behalf of our Cuban members, we thank you all for being here. On behalf of the Five, on behalf of the Cubans in Cuba. I have today a poem that was written by Ramon Lavandino Salazar. He wrote this poem yesterday. Today marks 12 years that this injustice began. 12 years being locked up. 12 years of agony, 12 years of fierce struggle, of firm and sweet company, 12 years of being one and being five of integrity, 12 years that your love has and that still waits for me. Even more, it is 12 years in which hope grows with each day's sun. 12 years of victory. 12 years of poetry. Venceremos. 5 hugs. Ramon Lavandino Salazar. Thank you.
And with that, Ramon also sent a note to let us know what is happening with him, which in some respects mirrors some of the other 5. And he says he has been recently moved to a new prison. Here is very different from the other USP.
Learn about the Cuban 5.
All right, I can do this. Yeah. Most important is that there is no lockdowns. The environment is more relaxed, and we can do a regular life like everybody else. It's even beautiful with trees, little palm trees, flowers, birds, things that I haven't seen in 12 years. Now that I'm working as an orderly in my unit and studying wealth building, about economy, stocks, market, etc., the things that I used to study before because he was an economist. I have 2 roommates, very good people. Very good people, we get along very well. One is Boricua, Marcos, and the other one is African American, Joseph. Very respectful and gentleman. Besides, I'm working out with weights, walking, etc. My health is good, and I keep myself very busy as usual. Trying to catch up with my correspondence, emails, diary, reading, studying. My daughter Ellie is coming to see me at the end of this month, till the October 10th. Then Ellie is coming on November and December. So I'm happy for the coming months. We continue working in the legal issues. Now the Gerardo Habeas Corpus, which is most important for the 5 of us. So far I have not received the book, New York Times and National Geographic. I don't know what happened. Obviously keeping the books away from him. I sent you one of my poems I wrote for today, which is what Nancy read. The 12th anniversary of our imprisonment. Hope you like it. Please send it to everybody. One big hug for all our brothers and sisters. Special kisses on behalf of the 5. Ramon. And folks, I think that gives us a sense of not only the fact that they're enduring this, but the positive outlook that the 5 have on their own situation, as hard as it is. If Ramon can be this positive about his situation, surely we all can be more than that, and we have to stand up and fight for them every step of the way. Doesn't matter whether it rains, pours, snows, whatever it is. We're always going to be there for them and to continue the struggle. Next.
Well, I'll make this quick so it all don't get flooded out. I think that we have to remember, think about these 5 brothers, that we're dealing with revolutionary fighters before that were on a very dangerous mission, but one that they took as internationalists. The same thing that led them to infiltrate these terrorist organizations so that they could monitor them and actually prevent terrorist attacks against Cuba, which have killed over 3,000 Cubans since the triumph of the revolution. And that before that they had fought, some of them in Angola, fought in the Cuban army that was part of the liberation struggle there that had defeated South African apartheid. These are revolutionary fighters. And what we are doing and what's happening around the world as this case becomes more and more known is we are, as Fidel has said, the truth must not only be the truth, but the truth must be told. And the truth is that this is an outrageous injustice that as people find out about it, they want to go and fight against it. One example of what extraordinary people these brothers are is the artwork of Antonio Guerrero, which we are now privileged enough to have in New York for the rest of the month of September. I urge everybody to tell your friends and to go see it if you haven't already at the Clemente Soto de Belez Cultural Center. We have cards here with the address and everything on the Lower East Side, but please go see this. This whole month of activity is very important, and we won't stop. We are going to continue and build this movement until we free every single one of these brothers. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Monica's doing an interview right now. My name is Allison Bodine. I work for IFCO Pastors for Peace, and today I bring greetings from IFCO Pastors for Peace. As we know, we have recently suffered a great loss in the Cuba Solidarity movement in the United States and internationally with the passing of Reverend Lucius Walker Jr. last week. But I can promise you that the work is going to continue with more strength and more determination than ever. And all the work that Lucius did and all that he stood for, a complete normalization of relations between the United States and Cuba, freedom for the Cuban5, and continuing work with the Latin American School of Medicine. Out of our sadness and our sense of loss, we must build a stronger and more unified movement to free our Cuban5 heroes, our brothers in U.S. prisons, because although 3 of them have been moved to minimum security, 2 have not. 1 is still serving a double life sentence plus years in Victorville, California, and all are currently in very grave danger through the fact of being in U.S. prisons and being political prisoners in U.S. prisons. The fight goes along much farther than just waiting until the date of their release approaches. Because as we know here in the United States, the U.S. government does not like to let political prisoners out of prison. No, they don't. No, they don't. Even when their sentence has run out and they're supposed to be let go. We must build a movement in solidarity with these 5 men who have sacrificed what Leonard Weinglass has called the heart of their lives, defending the people of Cuba as well as the people of the United States against U.S.-sponsored terrorism. It's important that we recall this moment 12 years after their arrest as a continued call to increase our work, to have more solidarity with one another in our struggle to free the 5, and to recognize that it was international and national pressure that was admitted to in the courtroom in Florida when the 3 of the 5 were given lesser sentences. Currently, there is a day-long picket happening in Vancouver, Canada, as well as many other actions being sponsored by Vancouver Communities in solidarity with Cuba and the Free the Cuban5 Committee Vancouver, but alongside dozens of actions happening internationally and here in the United States. This is a month to fight for the freedom of the Cuban5, and we are only just beginning. Thank you.
The Cuban5 and the Cuban people need us now more than ever. And what we are doing here today, which is being repeated across the country in many different cities, in terms of rallies, leafleting, other types of things, what we've been doing this entire month of showing Cuban5 artwork and all the support and solidarity work that we're doing. We need to continue that stronger than ever. We will continue here marching and chanting until we can't anymore. But stand up for
the Cuban 5, stand up for the people of Cuba today. We will continue this work, and it's not going to stop until the Cuban 5 are free. One more.
All power to people. My name is Brother Shep, for those who don't know me. I'm here representing the Guillermo Morales Asada Shakur Center, which comes up out of City College. And I want to invite everyone that's here this coming Sunday to march with the Freedom Fighters contingent in the African American Day Parade in Harlem. We are going to assemble on 112th Street on the east side of that street, right off of Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, and we're going to assemble at 1:30. So be there at 1:30. What we want people to do is please bring your banners, especially these beautiful Cuban 5 banners. We need people to know about these freedom fighters. Brother Ike talked about South Africa, and we need to let the African community know that it wasn't just a meeting with Malcolm and Fidel, which they're going to do a program for right after the parade, but also the brothers and sisters from Cuba that gave their lives to free our brothers and sisters in South Africa. So we're all the same as far as that struggle is concerned. And we need people to come out, show the Harlem community that the Cuban 5 must be free. So please come out this Sunday. All power to the people, free the Cuban 5.